Hi everyone. So I'm just going to do a short video here, a bit of revision, but it also will set us up nicely for when we start moving on in the next week or so, looking at fractions, again, but kind of moving on to more difficult and a different area of fractions. Okay. I am very happy with how well you've been working at them so far. Okay, because fraction questions come up every day in our Master Your Maths, and from what I'm seeing coming back to me, that it's it's becoming more and more easy for you as you engage with it and as you work away at it. So that's really, really good. So one area I just want to have a quick look at today is equivalent fractions. Okay? Equivalent fractions. Now, before I start explaining what it is and then showing you some examples, I'm just going to give you a few seconds just to have a think, and maybe if there's someone watching it with you, maybe between you and them, you can throw out a few ideas as to what you think it means. Okay, so now if you think about when we come across new words in English, one way that we try and figure out what the word means is by looking for smaller words inside it. Okay, so what words would you kind of see or hear inside equivalent? And the word you might come across that you would think of is equal. Equal. Okay, and what does equal mean? It means the same as. That's what equal means. Okay, so, and we know the equal sign, like that. And we know that the equal sign means that whatever's on one side of it is the same as whatever's on the other side of it. That's what it means. It is the same as. So we are looking at fractions that are the same as each other. So two different fractions that have the same, two or more different fractions that have the same, a word beginning with V, value. Okay, so they're worth the same. Okay, so a simple one is if you were to get a pizza, okay, or a cake, or whatever you want it to be, and now you cut it in half. Okay, and each of these is a half. Okay, so I'll point here, that's one half, that's another half. Okay, now I am going to just highlight one half in particular, just with dots, because let's see why I did that in a second. Okay, so what fraction is coloured? Okay, well, you can see that one half of the pizza has been coloured. Okay, now I'm not going to change anything. I'm just going to get a knife and cut the pizza up even further. Now, how many slices are there now of this pizza? There are 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 4. So now, if you're looking at quarters, so quarters is when something is split into 4. The number on the bottom, okay, the number on the bottom, which is the denominator, tells you how many pieces the item in question is being cut into. So now, what fraction of the pizza is coloured? What would you say? If you're talking about quarters, you would say 2 quarters. That's the same, has been coloured. And we can see visually that this is the exact same. 1/2 is the same as 2 quarters. Okay, they are equivalent fractions. So let's have a look at it over here for a second. 1/2 equals 2 quarters. Okay, and here is the trick, is that you do the same to make equivalent fractions. Okay, you do the same operation, which is a multiply or a divide, to the bottom as you do to the top. So you can see 2 multiplied by 2 is 4, so, and 1 multiplied by 2 is 2. Okay, so if I was to say 1/2 equals, let's see, how many tenths is the same as a half? Well, how do you make 2 into 10? You multiply 2 by 5, that gives you 10. So that means we do the same up here. 1 times 5 equals 5. Okay, now again here, let's just cut this pizza up one more time. Okay, how many slices of pizza are there now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So now the pizza is cut into eighths. How many are coloured? 4 slices. And it's still the same amount. 4/8 has been coloured. Okay, and we can see, I'll just show it over here. 1/2 is the same as 4/8. And let's see, does it, our little trick to help us, do the same to the bottom as you do to the top. Okay, so let's have a look at a few examples there. So if I was to say 3 quarters, and I wanted to turn 3 quarters into eighths, okay, remember, you do the same to the bottom as you do to the top. So what do you multiply by 4 to get 8? 4 times 2 is 8. So you do the same up here. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 quarters is the same as 6/8. Now, just to show you a visual of that, that's not a perfect circle. Here is our pizza in quarters, and we're talking about 3 quarters here. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, 3 quarters, and let's turn it into eighths. There we go. Now the pizza's in 8 slices, and you can see 3 quarters is now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6/8. If I was to ask you three quarters is how many twelfths? Okay, 3 quarters is how many twelfths? Well, remember, you do the same thing to the bottom as to the top. How does 4 become 12? Well, 4 times 3 is 12. So 3 times 3 is 9. So they are the same. Okay. So here's another visual for you here. It's on page 51 of your Visio Maths if you ever want to refer back to it. Here is a fraction wall, and it can also give you a nice idea as to equivalent fractions. And there's plenty of these you can get online as well if you just Google or search for fraction wall. Okay, so we can see here that a half, so we can look at a half, and it tells us very clearly that 1/2 is the same as 2/4. It's the same as 4/8, and it's the same amount as 5/10. Okay, and even if I was to say to you 1/4, there's 1/4 again, and we can see that 1/4 is the same as 2/8. Okay, so the tenths doesn't really work there, but okay. So if you can search on Google or wherever you search for a fraction wall, that's another way of really helping you with your equivalent fractions. All right. So I'm going to put up as well, and you'll see it. It will be with this video on the home page. I just have a few sums for you to do to practice that. Okay. You can keep looking back over this, and just remember to find out you do the same to the bottom as you do to the top. All right. And I'll show you one more actually before we go. If you were, so far I've been looking for multiplying, so going to get a bigger number. Okay. Now, but if I went like this, 6/8 equals how many quarters? Okay, now remember we only ever do dividing and multiplying, we don't do takeaway or adding. So what do I do to 8 to get 4? Remember, multiplying is backward division, the division is backward multiplying. So we divide by 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. Okay. Let's see, 3/4, 6/8, 3/4, 6/8. Alright. So I hope this helps. Get in touch with me or leave a comment or whatever way you want to communicate with me if you're still having any difficulty with it, and if there's any particular aspect you're finding difficult, I'll be sure to do another example for you. Okay, so there will be a worksheet with this, so please click into that. It's just be a few short sums because I know we have our Zoom call today, so I'm not going to overload you with too much work today, but if you can, practice some of these and send it back to me. Okay, bye for now.